Hi, today I'm going to be fixing Shoot's launch transition, hopefully. Now Shoot is my iOS remote controlled camera app, and this is going to be a step-by-step account showing how I used various features of Xcode and Instruments to figure out an infuriating launch animation bug, which looks like this. So the app launches, so you see what happened there. The app launches, it crossfades into my, and this, I'd prefer that it didn't go from change orientations, but that's not really the problem. It crossfades into my copy of the overlay of the launch screen that I then want to animate away, but then for some reason it like glitches, it sort of glitches into this state, which I do not understand at all. And then finally it sort of puts it back into the correct state and like does the transition that I've created. So you can see there's quite a nice transition going on there, but like it's all getting destroyed by the fact that there's all this stuff going on. So today I decided to dig. I did do another video about this yesterday on Discord, so if you want to see that, come and join squares.tv/Discord. But today I decided to dig into Instruments and actually like manage to find the problematic frame. So here you see that in the core animation instrument, we've got like the surfaces, so each like frame is rendered to the surface. It's quite interesting because you can see it like double buffering, so it's like frame 1, 2, 3, or triple buffering here. So it's like rendering to one frame, rendering to another buffer, rendering to another buffer. It turns out like Surface 260, which is one of the 3 buffers, is stuck on screen for a while, and I noticed that like if the bug was there, then that was frozen and I'd see this, and if the bug didn't happen, then I wouldn't see this. So this is definitely giving me the time range that the problem is happening. And we can see also the UI kit initialization sequence. So you can see it's like, basically it's like loading stuff from a storyboard in this range as well. So this is a storyboard app, and I'll talk about that in a minute. I also put some signposts in Xcode just to start kind of like getting some reference points in there. So you can see here, like we've got the session controller initialization phase, we've got the, and some other sort of events for different bits and bobs, just to try and kind of get a little bit more information about what's happening when in that startup sequence. But the fact is, like, this session controller, I kind of thought it was not really starting till over here. I thought it was like getting, I tried to delay it from initializing. So the session controller is basically fire up the camera and do all the kind of complicated stuff that needs. But it's coming in a bit earlier than I thought. So I thought, well, let's see what's initializing that. So what if we put a breakpoint in at this point? I know when that is, so I can put a breakpoint in. And so that's here in the main controller view did load. So I've stuck my little breakpoint in. And then I'll capture the memory graph when I land on that. So I'll click on that and see like what one thing is holding on to it. And oh my goodness, there's so many things that have accessed session controller at this point. The thing that I noticed was there's a lot of these buttons. So I guess, so I've got like this controls overlay. So the way this works, the way Shoot works is you've got the sort of main view controller. So this is like the main view controller, and then Shoot, then there's this controls overlay view controller, which kind of creates the buttons on the side, and those are what those toggle button instances are. So they're coming from this controls overlay view controller, which is assembled in the storyboard, and then each of those, because of the way Shoot works, it's this remote controlled camera app. It means that you can sort of set the you can control the settings from either a web browser or from a Mac app. So it does mean that I kind of have to keep those buttons up to date with what's happening, not just from presses from the user, also the Apple Watch can control it. So it means that like they do need to know about the session one way or another. The way I'm doing it is with like an open combined publishable mechanism. But we won't get into that too much today, but basically it all comes from a storyboard. Shoot is storyboard based. Even though I did rebuild it from scratch in SwiftUI when COVID hit, because it was easier than making the old source code work again after not touching it for years, I ended up having to use UIKit for backwards compatibility, which people still needed and were asking for. And you know, personally, I prefer a storyboard if I can get away with it, and there's not that much going on in Shoot, or certainly there wasn't back then. So to quickly see if these toggle buttons are making any difference, we'll just select the controls overlay view controller and get rid of that. So that's gone. Oops. Where did you go? You have vanished into thin air. Right. and then let's see what happens when we build, and we get the same glitch. So it wasn't that. So I'll have a look at the memory debugger again, and we see like we're not getting all those, we haven't got all those like toggles anymore, but there's still quite a lot of closures capturing stuff that it's just a bit, it might be a bit awkward. Anyway, like let's go back to the storyboard and try and undo that change, and hopefully Xcode doesn't crash when I land on the storyboard, which it sometimes does. Okay, good. Let's hope it doesn't crash when I press undo, because I've got uncommitted changes from yesterday, which I can't really remember what I did. Phew. Okay, we got that back without without having any trouble. So a session controller does do quite a lot in its initialization. So what if we just like skip the whole initialization by returning early? Sorry, by just returning early from the init. Let's see what happens. And actually, like, I think the properties might be causing some static initialization before I even get there. So can I like mock it somehow? Like, can we have like an empty session controller? I sort of tried that, and it's like, oh, there's too many. There's going to be like even these errors are just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to how many problems I'm going to have if I try. Session controller is just referenced everywhere. I know it's a singleton, and I do need to. This is probably a good sign. I need some good dependency injection. At some point, I will try Lift's solution. But I can't deal with that today. It's just got too many extensions and it's all over the place, and it would take me all morning to turn everything into interface calls. So never mind, let's just return early and just see what happens. And no, we've still got that big old Surface 199 this time, and so our problem is not yet solved. So why don't we have a look at the flame graph, right, instead? Like maybe it's something in, so I was looking at poking around the flame graph here. Let me just kind of bring that back, action replay. So, you can see it's like quite a lot of system calls, like sort of around here, but then if we kind of scroll down, this is where my app's influence begins. So we've got like main view controller is down there. I'm bouncing up and down, which is making it hard to sort of like slide through this. But yeah, here's some main view controller stuff. So maybe it's something in main view controller. So I'll actually like try filtering. So ignoring my capitalization, I'll just try filtering that. And actually it's quite cool because it recalibrates the whole timeline to just stuff that involves main view controller. So I can see some stuff going on. And what I actually noticed over here was, okay, so in main view controller, prepare for, so this is the prepare for segue function, which it seems to be getting accessed here, which, it's creating the session controller in that segue, which feels a bit sus. So if I actually find that function, I see these session controller calls. So let's just like comment those out and see what happens. And it's still there. Still got this big long frame, causing lots of problems. Sorry, let's zoom in. Causing lots of problems there. It's still paused. So basically, I spent another 20 minutes fiddling until I had a pretty good sort of like map of like everything that's going on during that surface. But I needed a solution, and I sort of tried the robot, but this was just like talking some nonsense. Honestly, talking some total nonsense. Like, shall we put a user CA transaction delay? It's like just making stuff up that is of no use, and then saying, hey, why not profile with instruments? Yeah, I'm profiling with instruments. Don't worry about it, mate. I think the problem is that I'm doing too much in the initial view. So what if I just like wrap it in a navigation controller? I should probably have thought of this before. So I did that, but it didn't actually fix it because it was still had the root view controller as being that same thing. But I didn't lose hope, so why not take control of that? So we'll just create a class for it, apply it, and then take this segue and get rid of that. Poof! Let's have another. Get rid of that. So now when I launch, I get a smooth transition, but it's to a blank screen, obviously, because there's nothing in there. So if we connect the fake launch screen as the root, like this is the fake launch screen as the instrument. So if we just connect that as the root view controller, then it's going to just show that launch screen. So now we can make it show, and hey, look, it shows. We can actually see that it's brought in. It's actually launched so quickly that you don't even see the non-localized version of it. It's gone straight to the Japanese one. So we didn't even like glitch while we were in the other launch screen. It just went straight to the real launch screen. So that's a really good win. So if we just give our main view controller an ID, then we can manually push it. So that's there. So we'll just do like instantiate the main view controller on view did appear and then push it with no animation. Then this will also, you know, that view controller will then also have the fake launch screen in front of everything and then can do the animation. So we've got two view controllers, both using the same fake launch screen, one after the other. So, you know, let's see, maybe that works. So wait for it. Let's have a look. We're building and let's see. Oh my God. Like I really thought that one was going to work, so I am very disappointed, and it's time to have a drink of water. So then I thought, okay, well maybe it needs supported interface orientations, because, you know, one of the reasons that this segue problem doesn't actually happen in all orientations, but Shoot can be locked in, by default it's locked into landscape mode, the camera, so that you can only use it horizontally, and then there's a system setting to put it into, make it so you can use it for vertical video, which means that I have to support all interface orientations in the property list that Apple looks at, but then I have to, as soon as possible, tell it like, no, you can't actually rotate to those orientations. And I think that's kind of probably somewhere in there as one of the problems. But so what if I just make sure that my navigation controller also does the supported interface orientations? No, it wasn't that. But what happens if we construct and don't push it? Well, actually, when I ran that, it was fine. So I thought, okay, well, why don't we just like give it half a second to get its head together? You know, just give it a little hack and then see what happens. So, you know, are you ready? Are you ready for this? Hey, look at that. Wasn't that nice? It worked. So I sort of, but I'm thinking like, oh, let's make sure that I'm not like doing a wrong delay, because I'm a bit worried that I'm sort of doing a delay that is too long or something. Let's just make sure that it's actually happening in parallel to all the work as well. So I added a bit of instrumentation. And then I'm sort of like looking around, I'm not quite sure. You see, like instruments can be pretty like hard to look at, but you can see I've got that landing delay there. The session controller init is happening before, so I don't know, like is this, and then there's that Surface 200, you see, we still get the freeze, but now it's not in the wrong orientation, so it doesn't really matter, because it's just the splash screen. So maybe it's a little bit more, so we'll wait for the thing, but then we'll also, before and after the push, see if that's any different. But like having a look, I'm actually, like now that I've got the shoot activity there, and then here's the landing delay, I'm like, actually they do seem to be running in parallel. So we've got that freeze. So, you know, I think that's actually solving it, right? So I'm still not 100% sure. So like, obviously I should really do a callback. I should really have like a message when all of the construction and initialization is complete to sort of tell the navigation view to push in the new version, you know, push in the next view controller. But I'm still not 100% sure what point in the code that I can do that. And I've already spent like a day on this, and it wasn't even something I wanted to be working on. And it does solve the immediate problem, certainly on my device. It might like delay launch unnecessarily on faster devices, and you might still see the glitch on slower devices. I'm not sure. I'll keep an eye on it. I've spent so long on it, documenting it, talking about it, that I think it does solve the immediate problem. So let's just like have a look at that. You know, it's just, there it is, nice smooth transition, 100% of the time, it works every time. All right, thanks for watching. Just a note to say that I created this devlog using my own app, CueCam Presenter, which is available to download. So the way I did it today was I actually was accumulating screenshots on my desktop as I went. So and then just naming them with putting notes on there, and then adding them into a big CueCam script as I went. So they were actually so I actually was deleting them as I went because my desktop was getting so full up, because once they're in the deck, they're in the document. So you know, I made this video with CueCam. This is what the script looks like. So if we just have a look at this, this is all my cards showing all the different things. We've got the title card, we've got videos. I've got you know, little, I can sort of zoom in per card. And then with all of this, I can be navigate, you know, showing it with video pencil. So I've got here's my setup. I've got an iPad here that I can draw on and annotate things. I've got a teleprompter up here, if you see that. And then I've got my lighting and stuff. So basically, I'm just looking at my Mac, I'm looking at my teleprompter, and I'm sort of going through that stuff. So if you like the look of that as a devlog tool, you can try CueCam now at cuecam.app/download. So thanks for watching.